Good day and welcome to a new video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Welcome to part 1 of my page 2 of my children's book with Turnipberry here today.
Hello. Glad to be back.
You can check out her gallery here. She's had a few new awesome paintings there since she's been on here last. So you can check that out at deviantart.com/Turnipberry, and yeah, we'll get into it. Awesome. So yeah, I say this is page 2 of my book. So it's been quite hectic lately. I've been working, and so I've been trying to keep up with these videos. It's quite challenging because now I'm doing them every week, and yeah, so there's things that gets quite challenging. And last week I mentioned that Turnipberry couldn't make it because of the California fire, and I wanted to ask you about your experience with that.
What was that?
I wanted to ask your experience with what was going on with the California fire.
So there's been, in spite of it being November and being fall in the northern hemisphere, we're still having a ridiculous fire season here in California. Everything's dry. We haven't seen rain in months. There's currently 3 really large fires burning, 2 down in the south around LA and 1 up in the northern part of the state, which is the one I'm near. And it started early one morning, and within a single day had completely destroyed a town of 27,000 people.
Jeez,
so there's just been a lot of people displaced. There's a lot of people in local shelters or looking for homes or new jobs. It hasn't damaged my home or my property, but it came within a couple of miles of doing so. So, the last few weeks have just been sort of up in the air.
Yeah, it seems like a very scary situation. Yeah, and it's really sad that these things happen. Yeah, it'll shake up so much people. Yeah. There's lots of things like this that happen. I mean, in New Zealand we don't have a lot. I mean, I think last week or something we had a earthquake, and I came from up north or something, and I was actually at work, and I could see the whole building shake. And I heard on the big radio one of the big bosses saying, "Oh, get out," because they had to get out of the building and go to the the meeting point for this big earthquake. But luckily, it didn't do any damage to any of their products, or no one got hurt. But these things, they affect a lot of people in different ways.
Yeah, well, it's very good that nobody got hurt, and I'm glad everyone's all right there.
But I don't know, because I didn't really look up on the news about it or watch it. But I'm sure there would be many other people affected worse than what we were, pretty much. Some stores might have got damaged and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, there's all these little things that happen. There's big things and smaller things that happen, like people around you passing away and all sorts of things that you have to deal with in life, which is not the greatest. And it can affect you as an artist as well. You were telling me that you didn't really sleep one night.
Yeah. The first night, that the fire was the most out of headed on. So I didn't sleep at all that night. I was up all night, keeping an eye on the the local sheriff and all the local news, the local news, the local looking for evacuation warnings. I packed
Mm,
most of the house. I was ready to get up and leave at a moment's notice.
mm,
But some things like that, even for practicing professional, life happens, and you have to be prepared to deal with it. There's
mm.
always going to be something that comes up that will take, and you have to know, you when to such.
Sorry, you're a bit cutty there, but that's all good. We got the gist of it. Yeah, it's gonna throw tornadoes at you. Life is. I mean,
Among other things.
I've recently just had a daughter, and that takes a bit of time out of what I love to do. I have to deal with her screaming and crying. I've got to make her bottle and feed her. And I can't paint while I'm doing that, but
I don't have any children, so I
mm,
don't. Fortunately, I don't have to deal with that. There are always things in life that you'll have to deal with,
mm,
get in the way of stick pursuits. And you
yep.
just have to.
But I manage it. I get through it. Um, when I feed her, I'm usually playing games or something, or chillaxing. And then once she's asleep, I plan to do some painting while she's asleep. And at the moment, because I've been working as well, I usually try to stay up to 10 p.m. because she usually goes to bed about 7, 8 p.m. So that gives me 2 hours after work once she's asleep to do some actual painting and do things. So that gives me some time. So I'm always planning ahead of these things. Sometimes other things happen, like I have dealt with deaths. I've had dealt with other little tragedies, like getting sick. Sometimes getting sick, you can be sick for like a week, and it really stuffs up your schedule because all you want to do is just kind of sleep in bed for the whole week. And and then you slowly get back into doing things, um, and it can take time, you know. But you just make plans with those things. Some unexpected things happen, and yeah, you just keep going, keep pushing forward. Yeah.
And I found that you see coming, unexpected things are more difficult to deal with. But
Mm,
having contingency plans for things that might come up, time planned ahead that you can set aside for doing work or making up time that you may have lost on a project or something of that sort. That's always very useful. It is very nice to have a flexible schedule like I've managed to do for myself, but
mm.
it able to work with the circumstances as they come too.
Mm. It's interesting. I was watching Jake Parker the other day, and he was talking about doing your 10,000 hours for and your 10,000 minutes. However, artists say, oh, if you do your 10,000 hours, you'll be a master at it. Um, but he thinks it's not exactly um, true as such, and it's very very hard to do because not everyone has 10,000 hours, and that may take, if you do it, say you only have an hour a day, that means that 10,000 hours would take you about 12 years. Um, so not
Yeah,
everyone's willing to do it for 10 years, which is an interesting concept. But he talks about having a balance in life, not just um, not just illustrating your whole life or creating your whole life, but also think about other things like going to see friends and family and all those other things you have to um, keep you entertaining, keep you happy and healthy.
various and sundry different hobbies. I have things that I enjoy going out and doing. I have relatives that I visit often.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, at the same time, I do also try and get a certain amount of practice done every week if I can. And whenever I'm working on a project, I will sit and get it done as quickly as I can without compromising on quality.
Mm.
For me, I don't mind. I'm the type of person who can devote the time needed to to practice for it. But
Mm.
for a lot of other people, schedules get in the way, day jobs get in the way. It's just a matter of finding the balance of your time that works for you as an individual. Everyone's different. Everyone's
Mm.
circumstances. You just have to find whatever works best.
Yeah, and just, you know, obviously you gotta love it. Um, you know, you gotta keep on loving it because you don't want to do it for 10 years and give up. Um, because otherwise you've just
Yeah.
wasted, 10 years. Um,
And there are yeah, burnout can be a problem both on the short term and on the long term. Yeah, if you start out doing something you love and it just turns into another boring drag of a job, that can be an issue. So it's you gotta find and look for ways to keep it entertaining, to keep it fun, and then to keep from just getting completely burnt out with it.
hmm. I was wondering, what does a typical, like, good day look like to you?
A good day working on art, or a good day in general,
Yeah,
or what
both.
specifically?
Um, yeah, a good day working on art or, in general.
Well, for a good day on art, if I get a good commission, which is always nice, it means I can pay rent.
Mm, mm,
Uh, no, I will usually just at least 6 hours to working on a piece if I can for that. That means I can get it done on something else. Have another project waiting in the wings, then I can get paid faster. If I don't, then I can have a day off if
mm,
I want. So I will sit down for long periods of time and work on a project, but I will also take for dinner. I'll watch cat videos for a while.
mm,
I'll do things, exercise, get up and walk around, not just be sitting there all day.
mm,
I'll for getting wrist strain or take a break from looking for a little bit, so I'm not strained. Or I'll go and do something for a little while just to keep from out situation. But I will also make myself go back and work on it until I've gotten a satisfying amount of work done.
mm. Yeah, it's important to take breaks. For me, I feel like I take too many breaks. But I mean, yeah, I try my best just to get as much work done as possible. Obviously, there's those things like playing games and just spending time with people and things like that I want to do, and I do them, and sometimes it's actually better because I'm more happier when I go back to doing illustration. I'm not like forcing myself to do illustration, and then it's like, oh, I get frustrated about doing it. I get bored, or it just doesn't excite me anymore because I'm forcing myself to do it. I'm not happily doing it. If I happily do it, I can create much more, kind of a thing. And yeah. And I was gonna say, with this piece here, I'm getting a bit like, at the moment, I've probably worked on it for about less than 2 weeks. I get a little bit like, I don't know what I'm doing now, like, because this is part one, so you'll see where I'm at, and I've done a little bit further now. But now I'm like, oh, what do I do to it? So I've got a little bit of time to consider what I do now. You know, do I keep on continuing on it, or do I go do a break? I was thinking I'm gonna start on page 3, slowly start that up, and then when I find the answer to this page of fixing it up and finishing it up, then I'll go back to it. But at the moment, yeah, I'm still searching for that answer. I haven't really done a lot of night scenes before, so that's a bit of a struggle trying to portray that this is a night scene and not making it look too dull either. I don't, because it's a kids book, I don't want it to be completely black. So people are like, oh, what's this image about? Kids will actually see some color in there that's interesting. Yeah, Turnips breaking up again, so I'll see if we can reconnect and see if that goes good. But yeah, I will take a break, do another project, and then come back to it. I mean, it's a little bit stressful because I've only got less than a week to get part 2 done, and I don't really want to drag it out further. But I'm hoping within this weekend I'll find the answer to this page and finish it off. I should do. If all else fails, I have to do part 2 and part 3, or I'll have to do part 2 and just wing it, But I mean,
Right.
I've got a little bit of time, so I mean, I should be able to just smash it out in the next week. I mean, even with this page 1, I was doing it till about Wednesday, and then I was like, okay, I've got enough video here to make a YouTube with it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll go from there. I mean, I'm pretty much there, finished per se, but I've just got like a couple of touches that I'm unsure of how to do, like, yeah, saying, I haven't fully done night before. I've always painted day scenes, because it is a hard topic, doing night scenes and making it interesting.
Yeah. I find a good approach to nighttime scenes is to not necessarily make it darker, but to just use the colors to indicate the fact that it's dark.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing because I did this monochrome first. Excuse me. That's the way I've been painting lately, or at least starting out like that. I'll do monochrome, so it's just me doing black and white, getting all the shades right and everything, and then I put color on, and I'm like, oh, this actually doesn't look right. So it's not perfect. I always have to go over it again with color, because I've done so many years of me just playing around and using color straight on, and now doing this monochrome black and white is helping me get the or at least testing how I can get the tones right and everything like that.
I tend to prefer working directly in color and not using the monochrome black and white, but I know a lot of really good artists who do it that way. It's not my personal preference. It doesn't seem to quite work out for me. I can never quite manage to make it translate properly. But it works a lot better for some people.
Yeah, definitely. Even if it's not your thing, it's good to just do it every now and again. Even I think some artists I've listened to, they do it full color, but they do tests in monochrome just to make sure the tones are right as well.
Yeah, I do that from time to time. Just running a filter over it to make it look black and white for a moment. It does.
I think you cut out
No,
there for a second.
Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
My internet here at the moment is very, very spotty at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, mine used to be spotty, and now we've got ultra fiber. So I mean, it does play up from now and again, but it's done pretty good so far, and I've noticed the difference in it, which is good. And I've also got new headphones. So these are my first time testing out these headphones. So hopefully the stream sound and everything is actually better, or at least not worse. So I always try something new every now and again. Some
That's always good.
Yeah, like I was thinking eventually upgrading to a proper mic. Yeah, one thing at a time though, because I don't have all the money in the world, so I can't afford buying all these fancy cameras and all these fancy computers and equipment. But I make do with what I've got, and eventually I will upgrade whatever I've got. One day when I've got abundance of money.
That's all you can do. You work with what you have. You have it.
I mean, yeah, a lot of artists do that. Like we all work with what we do. Not everyone can afford Photoshop, so some people use whatever's free. And that's just as good sometimes. If you've got Clip Studio, you've got Coral Draw or something like that, and a lot of other programs that are really cool and work about the same as Photoshop. Some of them do. Yeah.
When I first started out, I used Corel Paint. That was my first digital program that I had. It was fairly good to start out with. I think now that I've been able to afford it, I do prefer Photoshop, but I've experimented with Paint and with Corel and with various sundry other things. There are some good options out there, and there are some good free or fairly cheap options out there. You're not just limited to the expensive stuff.
It's the same with traditional as well. Like, you can pick up a pack of pencils from the $2 shop, or you can pay $2 a pencil from an art shop. And
Yeah, and there are benefits to both. There are benefits to the spendy stuff. They're usually higher quality. But that doesn't mean that you can't get good quality art out of the cheaper supplies. You just have to be a bit more creative with them.
Exactly. I mean, with art, I don't feel like you need a lot to start off. You can just have a pencil and some paper, and you're sweet. You can just draw with that. You don't need to start off with having, $20 pencils or $20 paints. You can just go to $2 shop, get some pencils to pick up, and start practicing. That's how I did it. I just started with whatever pencils I found around the house and whatever paper I could find. I mean, we weren't big on having paper, and eventually I bought my own paper, stacks of paper, and I just drew. And I did slowly build up a little bit of an art set. I've got a full color pencil set, so each week I would buy like a certain color each week, or two colors each week. That was like $2 or $3 each, and I just slowly built it up from there, depending on what drawing I was doing at the time. I mean, it was good because I was at an art course, so they had all the color pencil supplies. So if I did need to just borrow a color from them, I use it, and then eventually I'll go get it from the art shop. And I just slowly built up my collection till I had all of them. And some points I don't even use all of them, but
they are nice to have.
Yeah, each drawing comes with different colors, so eventually I have used them all, which was good. And one day in a couple of months, or when things are less busy with me creating this book at the moment, I might do a color pencil drawing for some reason. and record that. That'll be good. Um, I think I did 2 color pencils last year. I did the owl's color pencil, and I did a drawing of a duck. Um, I think I've always had trouble, like with color pencil. I've always drawn, what I see. So I get a photo, like the duck drawing. I got a photo of a duck, and then I drew their duck. I feel I'm less experimental. Like I just draw what I see with color pencil. Where with digital, I feel like I have more um, more experiments and things, so I can come up with those more um, like what you're seeing here, a bit more interesting, and has a bit of story in it. So it'll be interesting if I can. I should be able to. It's just having the confidence, enjoying something that's like this on color pencil.
Yeah. And there are benefits to drawing what you see instead of what you know. You can get things more accurate. And there's nothing wrong with using reference pictures for images as long as that they are pictures that are okay to use for reference.
Mm.
Those who can, those people who are able to take their own reference photos, they're very lucky. I think I haven't really been able to do that much, but all good professional artists use reference in some capacity. It's not something that is just an amateur thing to do. It is something that professionals do on a regular basis. It's just a matter of how you use it.
I mean, even Jim Jong Ji, the guy that say he can draw without reference, he obviously had to start with reference. He has to look at he had to have stared at the car for like 20 hours to fully understand how that car works and what each part looks like, to break it down in his head. And then now he can, because he really understands how that car works, what each part looks like, and how to draw it in his head so he can easily draw it on paper. He had used reference at some point to get where he is today.
Yeah.
And you can see in my videos, I show you all my reference, and I always have it beside me. It's something that helps me, and you can see the differences in some of the references I use. Is like there might be some images in my YouTube days, all my YouTube videos that I was using the reference a bit more closer, so it was like a drawing of half a dog, half a thing. So I was drawing what that dog looked like and what. But now you can see that the reference doesn't actually look like the photo. The painting. But you can kind of tell what I've maybe used out of those references to create what I have.
Yeah.
And
I try to take a similar approach to using reference. I will look at at many different sources of reference for a particular image, and I'll try not to directly base it on any of them. But I do use reference fairly often for anatomy and shape and color and things like that.
Yeah, it definitely depends on what you actually do with it, because back when I was drawing what I see, obviously it was just me trying to learn how to actually draw, and nowadays I already know how to draw and paint. Obviously there's I'm still growing and learning. There's I don't know how to draw everything, but those days are about learning and learning how to draw, and these days it's more taking what I know and creating something that's interesting and unique. So it's less about me trying to draw what I see and more trying to create something that other people will enjoy in some way or form, and just trying to tell my story. Like I said, this is a children's book about a little hedgehog who loves kiwi fruit.
Yeah, and I
So you broke up again. You still there?
yeah,
Were you gonna say something?
it's been breaking up pretty bad.
Yeah, yeah,
Can you hear
yeah,
me?
yeah. Just might leave call and restart. Leave call, join call. Yeah. Gotta say something? There's always these technical difficulties. But
Hold
they'll.
on a moment.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's all good. These things happen. But it's still good. We still get. We still get some great talks, awesome artists, and which is really cool. So feel free to like, share, subscribe, everyone. I really do appreciate you checking out these videos. I mean, it's great for me to talk with these artists and learn a little bit, and sometimes I manage to teach them something, or they take a page from my book per se, which is interesting. I really feel honoured when that happens. But yeah, it's just awesome, and I come up with a lot of questions, which is different from some interviews, because with some interviews it's coming from, the questions are coming just from a kind of a general place where I'm an artist and I want to find out all this information, so I try and come up with very technical and interesting questions, and I do invite anyone to also come and ask these questions, either if you want to check out this live, or you leave a question down in the comments. I can get those answered and everything. So what are we talking about?
Uh, we were talking about your.
Yeah, this book here, and it's an interesting one. I was talking about how I like to create something interesting and tell a story, and eventually this will build up. I'm only at page 2, but eventually I'll be at page 14 and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I've nearly finished the book, and I've just got to get that little stretch. But right now I'm doing all the hard work. I'm doing all the little pages, one page at a time. I'm going to be starting page 3, and then I will come back and finish this off for part 2. So I should have part 2 by next week, which would be cool. And we'll have page 3, which is really exciting. I really enjoy actually seeing how each page turns out. It keeps me excited. I really enjoy that starting moment where I start to create something and then it starts piecing together like a little puzzle. It just excites me to see the finished product, and that's what really gets me going. All that hard work in between is very it is very hard to keep on going and keep on pushing, and doing it sometimes obviously I do need a break. Other times it's just that I don't know what I'm doing yet, like I'm still trying to understand what the painting's about. Or how to render something. So there's all those difficult challenges. Sometimes I might be really tired one night, but I still want to get 2 hours done today. You know, I really need to. So it can be a very slow 2 hours, but at least I can get something done. Yeah, at the moment though, like I have to do like an hour or 2 hours a day, or weekends, which stretches it out. Um, I'm used to actually working, you know, an 8 hour day, one day, and then 2 days later or 3 days later doing another 8 hour day. I'm used to doing that kind of thing. So it's interesting going from doing, close to 6 to 8 hours a day to doing 1 or 2 hours a day every day, and then a couple hours more on the weekend. So it's interesting to see where it actually goes, and it's like, oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
did like so much, you know.
It's a balancing.
Mm. Yeah, it's all about balance, eh? I think you break up, yeah. Turnipberry is breaking up a little bit. Hopefully you did get some good advice from her already. Um,
Hello.
yeah, you're back. You're talking about balance.
Just finding the right amount of time for whatever schedule you have.
Mm.
However, it works out.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and obviously there's always something that's going to pop up. Um, yeah, you just go with the flow. I just go with the flow and do as much time as possible just to, I mean, not everyone is me, obviously. Not everyone is doing a YouTube video a week, so you guys don't have to keep up with that kind of thing. But for me, that pushes me, that actually makes me move forward a little bit further. If I didn't have this going each week, I would only do maybe a YouTube every month, and then I'll keep being like, well, I have work, so I can't keep up with it. But since I'm in this mood, I really want to do this every week. It's really pushing me, really making me think about when I can do it and what sacrifices I can make to try and keep this going. And this another thing is I was thinking about the other day is sacrifices, and what's the other word? Compromising. The difference between the two, sometimes you have to sacrifice things, sometimes you can compromise. I think sacrificing can be a little bit more rewarding sometimes, but then you're giving up something like, for instance, for my Cintiq tablet, I really I had to choose. I had the money there for a Cintiq tablet, or I could have got a PS4. In the end, it prevailed. I got a Cintiq tablet. I knew I'd use that more, and it really made sense, because if I got a PS4, I would have struggled through the last year of design school, because I was really getting into digital art. I've put it off for quite a few years before then. I was like, oh no, I'd never be a digital artist. I'll always be a traditional. But eventually I decided it actually felt a little bit faster, and it was, the amount of times I've had projects where I made a traditional drawing, and I've just spent hours trying to get it done by the due date. Where digital art, I feel like I can push through a lot faster. So yeah, that's the end of part 1. Yeah. anything you want to say on any topics we've talked about?
Uh, well, not much to say that I haven't already commented on.
Mm,
Yeah, it's just you're right. Sometimes for artistic goals, you do have to make sacrifices for other things. But again, coming back again to the whole balancing act, it's
mm,
about how much of your life you want to devote to this, or you want to devote
mm,
to something else. It's just about finding that point that you're comfortable with.
mm. Exactly. I can't devote every minute of my life to this, to me illustrating my YouTube. Um, and I accept that. I've got other priorities. I've got to pay the bills. I've got to look after my family, um, and just have a life other than doing what I do. Um, yeah, and obviously I haven't found that balance yet, and I'm still figuring it out. But at the moment, I feel like it's um, balanced enough for now. Um, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff heard that, they're always trying to figure out that whole balance. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining me. Thank you, Turnipberry, for joining me today. It's been awesome. You can check out all
And
the work. So what was that?
good luck on. Hmm?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much. Um, yeah, check out her gallery at Turnipberry. She's had a few new paintings and drawings since her last time I showed it, which has been awesome. Sometimes I'm surprised, like, the amount of work the artists do by the time I talk to them again, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they've got all these paintings. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've only got like this one painting I've done. um, which is interesting. It's really cool. Yeah, keep on painting, everyone. Keep on creating, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this stream. Like, share, subscribe. Have a good one. Goodbye.